How you want to start?
Start from the beginning.
So this is Top Shelf Nerds.
What up?
This is one of our Top Shelf Nerds, Key.
What up?
And we're going to talk today about what being a nerd means to Key. And kind of get a story on that. And then he also has something pretty cool to share with us.
Simple story. I mean, being a nerd is kind of fun. You get to do stuff that people that are cool or considered cool don't normally do, right? And it's like, I wouldn't do that. Like I showed my buddy, I was like showing him the studio. He was like, oh, it's kind of weird. I was like, yeah, but not really, because it's a lot more people that do this than don't. And I'd rather have this nerd habit than other habits. So, yeah, being a nerd is actually kind of cool. So, there you go. Like being a nerd.
That is.
Mm-hmm.
So what has being a nerd like helped you to figure out like if you're going to be, what you're going to do with your life? Or like was there any reservations at any point in your life where you were like, okay, I'm a nerd, but I don't want to show people that I am one?
Yeah, when you were a kid, nobody wanted to be a nerd. Nerds were not cool. Nerds were not cool as a kid. But I think as we got older, I think you become who you are, and you're like, it's a confidence in being exactly who you are and loving who you are. So being a nerd is like loving exactly who you are unapologetically and just being that guy. And it makes you actually more confident.
Because you could lose a part of yourself. You know, you can lose a part of yourself if you put it down or push it away.
Yeah.
So what are some of your interests in nerdoms? Like what are the things you collect, do, or have fun with?
I'm a McFarlane sports guy. So I like all the McFarlane guys. I've got those dating back like 15 years now. All those McFarlane toys. What else do I have? I got a lot of random things. You just got me into the Lego thing recently, so I'm like, that's another habit that Kyle got me into.
Oops.
So, more money down the nerd pipeline. So, oh, hot toys. I like hot toys. Those are cool.
Hot toys are great.
Hot toys are great. I am. You know how some people are anime folk? I'm anime, but I'm not so deeply involved in it. I know my anime stuff. But, some people are really knowing anime.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, ah.
Anime is it. That's
It's
all I
a
care
deep
about.
dive. It's like, I like stuff. Like, I think it's Macross, Robotech Macross stuff. That was really cool. I think that was cool back in the day. I'm starting to get back into that. Probably going to get a couple of those figures. I really like those. They've updated them a lot. So I think that's going to be cool to collect, too. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So some of your favorite movies?
Nerd movies? That's a good question. Nerd movies? I wouldn't say Star Wars is my nerd movie. I know everybody loves Star Wars, but I'm not anti-Star Wars.
Just because I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt, that's all.
Yeah,
That's the only reason why.
And a hat. Don't forget.
Yeah, and the hat.
And the hat.
Both.
Yeah, he's really Star Wars'd out. And I'm not even I'm a DC guy. I did like Man of Steel. Don't kill me, internet, for liking the Man of Steel. It was one of the better movies they made. It was just better. I like that. The new Batman, I kind of dig that guy. Year 2 Batman is alright. The Year 2 Batman is kind of alright. I think they're doing a decent story. I think it's a good line between the Christian Bale and that whole goofiness with the old Batman movies. Things, it got kind of like that middle ground where it can evolve into something, maybe some superpower guys in there,
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Where do you think the DCU is going to go from here?
It can only go up. It can only go up.
It's been here. Well, actually,
it was under the table, and it got bad. They lost guys, and I made a lot of bad decisions, in my personal opinion. You lose the guy that looks like he should play Superman for a life.
Like that's what he was born to do. Like Henry was born to play Superman. That's it.
Henry Cavill was born to play Superman, and now you want to go some revolutionary route or something crazy. I don't know. Like, dude, it's Superman. Let him be Superman. He did that. That was the best. It can't be. You don't want to talk about Christopher Reeve.
No, you don't want. You want to knock on the Reeves, but
I want to knock on the Reeves casket. But that Henry Cavill, if you had a Superman, that's Superman. That's this generation Superman, and whoever comes after him is gonna have a tough act to follow.
Oh yeah.
So I actually liked Affleck is the old Batman. I like him old Batman.
I do. And then Michael Keaton coming back with Flash as Batman. It's,
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
Yeah, we'll see. I think you can't mess it up. I mean, Shazam is decent. Shazam was pretty good. Black Adam was terrible.
Oh, Dwayne Johnson, watch out!
It was bad.
It's like everybody has this perception The Rock can do no good, no bad, right? Like everything he touches turns into gold, but it wasn't. It was okay.
It was hokey.
Yeah,
it was hokey. It had scenes in there where like the people were rising up, and it was just like obligatory of like every movie that you see, and it was just like that was dumb. It was really cheesy at points. Let me say this. Let me separate the actor from the stuff. The Rock did really. I liked him as Black Adam. If I can like him as Black Adam without liking the movie, that's where I'm at with it. Right. I liked him as Black Adam. He was just as Black Adam, and he was straight direct. He was how I expected Black Adam to be. So I like Black Adam. If Rock can be in the movie, he's in the movie. I like him. But some of the characters, I mean, Pierce Brosnan was good. Pierce Brosnan was solid.
Yeah, he was good. He was good. But so here's a running theory I have is like, okay, if a movie's good enough and a character's good enough, would you collect their figures and or comic books? Right? Like that's where I started having this kind of staple of like, okay, if I really love this movie enough, like Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
And other pieces, right? People love Grogu. They buy all these things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, do they love the character that much? Do they love the look of the character that much? Or do they love the show that much that they want to collect so many things? Is there anything in the DC recently that you'd be like, you know what, I gotta collect every Black Adam figure or every Joker figure from the Heath Ledger days, whatever? Like anything DC where you're like, I gotta have all that stuff.
Anything from DC, I think would be the Superman, Black Suit Superman. Black Suit Superman would be, from Hot Toys.
So one thing.
Well, no.
Nope. All right.
Aquaman is bad. I like
Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
Jason Momoa, yes, he really did good.
They said, hey, let's get Aquaman.
Yeah, like make Aquaman how
awesome.
Yeah, the new 52 Aquaman is what Jason Momoa seems more like. I think the new 52, all the new 52 guys, they really did that, and then they went back. I think DC's trying to find that thing that makes them kind of like Marvel, even though Marvel's kind of like starting to level off because
the faces are phasing out.
Yeah, the faces are phasing. They're not phasing.
They're phasing out.
Are phasing. You know how the gig be gigging is not phasing as well as they were. I think you did something special with all the stuff that how you develop the story. Now you're just trying to put out content.
Yeah.
And when you put out so much content, you dilute the product, right?
Yeah.
So.
And that's exactly what happens. Like you start getting all these people involved. We got to keep pushing out the movies. Got to keep making all this money. And what ends up happening is you have a flat product. When in the beginning they're trying to capture us all. They're trying to pull us into the story. Yeah. And I'm a Marvel guy. He's more of a DC guy, but and I think with Marvel though, like if you've read comic books and you've dealt with them your whole life, you can see a gripping, more kind of in-depth story. There's different characters in different universes that have more in-depth stories and more that have more things to do with time and multiverses and stuff. And so the cool thing is both of them going into the multiverse at the same time.
Yeah.
So DC's gonna have a multiverse, and MCU has a multiverse at the same time.
Yeah.
So MCU's gonna have Kang as kind of being their overarching piece that might lead into Galactus. So where does DC go with the multiverse? Right? You got different versions of Flash coming out.
Yep. You got all the Earths. I think the main Earth is Earth 52. But they got a lot of options to go. I think you can go with a lot of the other characters and just the anti-Superman. I think it's Superior Man. I'm trying to remember. Some of the guys I lose, so don't judge me again. Don't judge me. But I think the guys that I really like in DC, I like Marvel. I think that Marvel is more than, if you look at Marvel, if you're not in the comics, you'll think of Marvel as Wolverine, everybody else. Because Wolverine is so popular. And if you read the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe the first time, Deadpool noted the fact that Wolverine was so popular and you couldn't kill Wolverine because of his popularity. But Marvel is so dope to me, but DC is super dope because I think I fell in love with DC when when Batman just started getting really, really solid, gritty. The detective Batman, just one of the world's greatest detective, and how he could just beat everybody with his wit and his will, and he just did a lot of stuff without superpowers. Now,
there's so many different versions of Batman, right?
yeah,
So there's so many different versions of every character.
yeah, but the Bruce Wayne got the Bruce
So
Wayne.
Batman is what hooked you to DC.
Batman is what hooked me to DC, and then I realized I was like, and it made me think about logically. And my brain processes weird stuff, right? So I'm looking at DC, and I'm like, why didn't they just shoot him in the mouth? I was like, because when I watched the Batman movie, the newest one, when the guy at the end when they were on the scaffolding in the arena, he was about to shoot him in the mouth, and I was like, yes, do that thing.
Logic meets reason.
Yeah, do that thing.
Meets guns.
Yes, my God, shoot it. Do that part right there. Do that. That's where you stop Batman. But yeah, but I still like Batman. Not that I want to get Batman to get shot, but I'm like, he kept getting shot everywhere else.
But his mouth.
But they shot him with a shotgun, no shotgun, not shards, no shit, no nothing, no bird shot, no nothing hit him in his face, and I'm like, he was just like, no.
It makes you wonder though, why doesn't Batman have a full face mask?
Why doesn't he have a full face mask? But they did correct that on Batman Beyond.
Yep.
Terry McGinnis had a face mask because they understood that people were thinking about, why not just shoot him in the mouth?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah.
I went on a little rant there, but
No, it is. It's a DC rant.
It's a DC rant.
It's a DK rant.
A DK rant because DC messed it up a lot. DC messed up a lot.
So how does DC become better going forward? What are the stories they have to pull in? Like, what is it about the Marvel kind of, I guess, like people say they have this like magic juice, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes them, create cool worlds and expansive universes that match the comics. But DC has, like, with Dark Knight series, people felt like it was a great movie.
Yeah.
But, and I felt like it was as well.
Yeah.
But they had all the good actors in the right time, the right place, the good directors. But, ever since the Dark Knight series, you've kind of had, it's okay.
It's okay. I mean, Snyder Cut Justice League should have been the movie. Should have been the one they did in the first place. You probably wouldn't be in the space you're in now if you did Snyder Cut.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
The Snyder Cut was where.
But how long was Snyder Cut after, like Iron Man, when the MCU started hitting the ground?
Snyder Cut was done, I think that was around, like, right after Iron Man 2. Snyder Cut was done right around that time. The Justice League, don't quote me on that, but I think Snyder Cut was done right after Iron Man. You think so?
No, I think it was longer than that.
Longer?
Yeah. When did Justice League come out? I was like,
shoot. Let's cut that out. Don't demonetize.
No demonetization. No demonetization.
Yeah, we don't make any money, so you can't demonetize something that don't make money. Batman.
We're here for you, not for YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, truly. But money doesn't hurt. Damn, that's a good question. But I just know that said when he wasn't able to fully capture that vision, because that movie had to be that long to compete with any Marvel movie, because Marvel have developed their characters independently, but they just kind of intertwined them subtly. Like, you just threw all these guys into one movie, and then you did that Batman versus Superman. That was god awful. That was really, really bad.
You don't like that with Affleck and Henry?
It wasn't. It was just trying to do too much, and I think you should have developed. The best way it was done was the animated version of it.
And to be honest, most animated versions of things are sometimes better. Like for Star Wars, for me, it's Clone Wars. Clone Wars is an example of that. The Clone Wars animated series is incredible, and there's so many stories you can have in there. Yeah. But with Batman and Superman, what you have is like, okay, what I noticed with DC is like it's an okay movie, right? And then it's almost like people have this idea of what a superhero movie is versus what an actual movie is, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at the DC movies, they are movies, not superhero movies.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of where I've been more disconnected from DCU. I think I just can't get. I like Batman, I like Superman. Those are my two favorites, but I think you can't really get invested into those movies as much.
DC to me does way better animated. Their animated movies hands down some of the best.
Batman Beyond, all those, yeah.
Justice League Dark,
Yep.
all of that stuff. Really, really solid stuff.
Even their HBO Max series too.
Yeah.
Those are great too.
Yeah, they are.
So what is it about the movies?
I think the movies are more the money grab. They're trying to make money.
They're not focused on the stories.
Focus on the product. Like, the product has to be solid. If you make a solid product, you'll make money. I think they focus on goofy directors' vision for encapsulating this new version of Batman that has never been thought of, and then they're trying to do this whole. But the simple thing, look at what Marvel did. They didn't reinvent Tony Stark. Tony Stark is Tony Stark. How can you reinvent Tony Stark? You can't reinvent him. So why reimagining of Batman? Like, for the 17th time, Batman was Batman. Just like Michael Keaton did a great Batman. The Joker was a hilarious version of Joker. Nicholas was great. Nicholas, man.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, because I always say Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack. He was a great version, but I think Heath Ledger just made Joker who he should be. Dark, funny, dark comedy, dark humor. I think that.
So do you think Heath Ledger's version of Joker is more in line with the anime series, or is Jack Nicholson's Joker? Because, you know, Mark Hamill from Star Wars, by the way, voices Joker, and he's amazing as the voice of Joker.
Mm-hmm.
So, but see, that's the other question too, is, you know, he did some stuff in a TV series as Joker, or as a character similar to Joker.
Mm-hmm.
So who is Heath Ledger what Joker should be? And I guess that's what DC is trying to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Is Heath Ledger who's Joker supposed to be? Is Mark Hamill, or is, you know, Jack Nicholson? Like, are all these different characters?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who is Joker?
So Jack is the hokey Joker.
Mm-hmm.
He was hokey. Heath Ledger was extraordinarily dark as Joker. The amalgamation would be the Mark Hamill Joker, which was, he did messed up stuff. Yeah, he did really funny stuff. He was really funny.
That really crazy laugh.
Really crazy laugh.
That laugh just would give you chills.
Yep, the laugh was great. Him as his version of Joker is what Joker has been throughout the comics. What you should want to see. Like, I think now, here's where they couldn't have gotten Batman wrong. Batman was right. Christian Bale was probably the second best Batman to me.
Second best. Who's your best? Who's your favorite?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton is your favorite Batman.
It's hard not to bet against that guy because he just did such a good job. Such a good job as Batman from the original part. I do like Christian Bale's Batman because
Michael Keaton's Batman was 90s Batman, right?
Like, he was 90s Batman. 90s
style Batman.
No nipple Batman.
Yeah, no nipple Batman.
No nipple Batman. We do no nipple Batman. I'm for no nipple Batman. Yeah, but.
Well, it's only when Mr. Freeze comes out, right?
No!
Hey!
Yeah, but no nipple Batman. Christian Bale was, I think, the most in line with the comics.
Yeah.
His was the most in line with the comics. I do, however, not like, I think their reimagining of the realistic, what Batman existed in the real world was kind of like, it kind of was like, nah. I wanted there to be some supernatural things like Ra's al Ghul in there, just being more supernatural, using the Lazarus pit and whatnot. So I think those things were very good for the brand of Batman, because you wanted to watch one of those screens. I remember they were showing like some cutscenes where they were showing Metropolis, and they were trying to show like Superman on the background. They were showing but they never expounded on that. Batman could have been so expansive. You could have still made the DC universe better. You could have expounded on that.
So my favorite, and I have the comics of Batman by Todd McFarlane, right?
Yeah.
That cover is one of my favorite comic covers, and that's one of the only like 5 DC comics that I own.
Yeah, I know you don't really do.
Pretty much Marvel, but
yeah.
But that cover for me is so iconic because that Batman with the large cape and just this darkness approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the way he illustrated Batman was very different.
Yeah.
And I think if they maybe brought that version of Batman, for me personally, I would go see every version of Batman that there was.
But when you say that version, that was the version, that was the Batman versus Superman version. The Todd McFarlane version. Yeah. think so.
Think so?
I think so. I think because they try to immortalize that iconic cover in the movie scene.
Yeah, they did.
So that was effectively the Batman version, the older Batman, the more grizzled, hardened Batman. I think that
because outside of DC and Marvel, Spawn is just Spawn.
Like Spawn is Spawn
on a different level.
Spawn is on a different level. Spawn just went and he'll just be in everybody's universe. Spawn is just wherever he wants to go. Spawn is just that tough. Batman in that form is he's one of the best Batman. Todd McFarlane did Batman the best.
Yeah.
But Todd McFarlane does everybody the best. Think about it. Where is he done? Where is he gone wrong?
Never.
Wait.
The Pit series, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's well illustrated because it's Todd McFarlane, obviously,
yeah.
but it was kind of a stretch for character. But I mean, he went to Spawn because he's like, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah, let's not talk about Spawn in the movie.
No. We won't talk about the animated series was pretty good.
The animated series is amazing. They did if they did animated series, the movies, if they would have said, you know what, I don't care what you guys think, we're gonna take this animated series because it's done right and make it a movie.
Right.
Guess what you'll get? A great movie.
Great movies.
You'll get great movies. So DC, Marvel, whoever, Image, take your animated series and comics and just take them out, get real actors, make them a movie. If a director has a vision of a reimagining, tell him no. No.
No more reimagining. Anything.
No reimagining. Tony Stark is Tony Stark. That's why he works so well. He was never not Tony Stark. He was a self-serving, self-absorbed individual in the comics.
Right. That's who he is.
That's who he is. You're going to reimagine him as this nice guy. He had layers. He was a nice guy. He just had things about him. He was quirky.
Right.
If you really peel back the onion, he was quirky.
Right.
Stop doing that. Make people who they are. Thor is Thor. He's a Norse god. Long hair. Giant. Arrogant. Like, these guys are flawed. They're human. Or gods. Superheroes.
Demigods and humans and all different weird
stuff,
things.
Man. You know, make movies. Use what you got. Stop trying to make these guys something that they're not. And that's why I think Marvel is starting to kind of level out, right? They've done the best.
Well, they're trying to keep up with Marvel from my side. Marvel side is they're trying to do more of the modern kind of comics, right?
Yeah.
And not going to the kind of old school. I guess they figured, hey, phases 1 through 4-ish, we're going to do our typical, Marvel people, but then now we're into the newer versions of these people or the newer versions of these characters. And for some people, they probably never read the newer comics. They read the old comics. Yeah. But I think they're like they twisted it really fast, really quick. It wasn't like a gradual change. I think they're trying to do some of that with the TV series and stuff. Like She-Hulk, they're trying to do a gradual change into She-Hulk, and Ironheart was a little bit more of a change maybe that they're gonna do. But yeah, it's just I don't understand what they're going against.
I want to see Ironheart. I was thinking about Iron Fist. Ironheart.
Iron Fist, yeah.
Iron Fist was terrible. It was
That's a Netflix show.
It was. They could have did better because Luke Cage was decent. Luke Cage was pretty decent. It was okay.
Yeah. Punisher was good.
Punisher was really good. If you make Punisher less than that Punisher, nobody wants to see him. Don't do it.
Okay, so then before MCU, there was Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. So no, don't like that one, right?
No.
If Nick Cage comes back as Ghost Rider, right?
he'll be Nick Cage doing Nick Cage stuff. That's what he do. Nick Cage
he'll just be taking a job.
Nick Cage will be doing Nick Cage stuff, and like Nick Cage is like 65 years old. He'll go play a 25-year-old. Like, come on, man, Nicolas Cage, man. No. Johnny Blaze, no, you're not. You're not. You were too old to play Johnny Blaze. And you do this voice. Oh. Nah, Nick Cage. No, let's not do that. I think that if they do Ghost Rider again, those kind of guys, those guys, it'll be fine if you get some people that play them right. Like you literally can do everything in Marvel. You got so many guys. You got Earth level heroes. Spider-Man was one of those transcendent heroes that like kind of passed the street level of New York City because he was popularity, right? Spider-Man was super popular, and he was actually stronger than people thought. But I'm interested to see where that goes because they haven't messed that up yet.
Well, and actually, would you say the Spider-Man and the Sony under the Sony umbrella was messed up, or was it okay, and then the Marvel just made it better?
It was okay. Amazing Spider-Man wasn't actually that bad.
Right.
It wasn't that bad. Amazing Spider-Man.
So when you bring Garfield and Maguire into No Way Home, all of a sudden you're getting like this kind of like, for us, right, and people that seen these movies before, I think the biggest piece of that movie in No Way Home was it brought together kind of childhoods of people.
Yep.
Where it was like all of a sudden I'm seeing all my favorite Spider-Man all in one movie, and you're just going, you're blowing my mind. And all the villains, all the actors came back, and I think that was a really, really cool way to do Spider-Man.
I think the fact that they kind of spoke to some of the differences, like I fought a mechanical rhino and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I wouldn't want that.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, yeah, no, that was terrible. That scene was actually kind of interesting, but Amazing Spider-Man to me was actually pretty good because of how the characters developed, right? So I think Sony didn't do a bad job with Spider-Man.
No. Well, and obviously with the video games, they've done great.
The
video games, the Amazing Spider-Man video games have been great. Miles Morales, the Amazing Spider-Man, now they're coming both together with Venom, the next one. There's so many cool Spider-Man things coming out. And then maybe a Miles Morales live action movie in the next Spider-Man would be kind of cool.
That'll be, but you're going to have to make that happen. That would only happen I think that happened in Amazing Spider-Man. That's where so it's going to have to be Garfield that's going to have to bite it.
Yeah.
Garfield's going to have to eat it for Miles Morales. But Miles Morales is actually in the, in this universe, in the MCU. Right. He's actually in the MCU right now.
Right.
As a kid. so we never know.
Never know what they're going to do.
Never know what they're going to do.
Not until the fourth end credit scene after you stayed 3 hours after the movie.
Yep.
But sometimes you don't know. So then what is it, I guess, you look forward to in nerd culture to help people? Like, how does being a nerd help other people? And I guess, like, sometimes you hit this point, I think, like, for me personally, sometimes was people say you're too old, or like, hey, you buy Lego or Hot Toys and stuff. Like, hey, that's not being an adult. Being an adult is not buying toys anymore. Right? What do you think about that?
Personal preference. I mean, people do whatever they want to do. I mean, somebody could buy a $5,000 bag. That's a personal preference.
Louis Vuitton,
Gucci, all that other stuff.
Chanel.
You can buy all that different stuff, man. But if you're a nerd, if you like things like this that kind of doesn't fall in line with everybody else's thinking and perspective, that's a personal preference.
Right.
Last time I checked, we have a right to do what we want to do. That's a blessing, right? You do what you want to do, so you don't have to sell me on the you got to do this and you're this and this. That's the point of how we've grown as a culture. Like, people should be able to do stuff without being judged for like doing something that's off the beaten path. And it's like, okay, that's your cool thing that you like.
Right.
I mean, I like it, but that actually seems kind of cool. I don't have to get into that. Like, I'm not gonna. He'll tell you, I'm probably never gonna get as deep into Legos as he is, but because I'm looking back at all. I'm walking through the room, the set. I'm like, wow, I could never do that. It's gonna be that'll be this Optimus Prime. This stuff is gonna be in pieces for a little while. I'm gonna build it up, and then all this other stuff is gonna be cool.
Yeah.
But it's the cool thing about it is the fact that that's cool. That's the cool thing about us, and it's like, that's a cool part of your personality, and you have the right to be who you are, and that's what nerd culture is.
And even though you're a nerd, everyone has their own different avenues, right? Like, so, like, I just full transparency. I'm Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Marvel, some DC, Witcher. You know, obviously video games. You know, Halo and Witcher, and Cyberpunk and Dune. Like, there's so many different things you can get into. Some people have 30 things they're into. Some people have 3. But what I've noticed in nerd culture is, I personally, this is personal, but I have never met a mean nerd. I've met some guys that are obviously passionate about what they love, and women. I've met a bunch of people that are passionate about what they love, but they were very accepting and very open, and just nice people in general. Like, in a comic book store, you can have conversations in there. For hours on end about just characters, like we're talking right now, just talking to people about different things, and nothing matters. The whole outside world just goes away. You're just sitting in the comic book store talking about, Which version of Batman is better, right?
Yeah. I will say this. I have met nerd snobs.
Nerd snobs.
Anime, don't get anime wrong. Anime snobs will come for you. That's why I apologize vehemently if I make any anime mistakes. Anime snobs will come for your head. Like, people will forgive you for forgive me for my reference of Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Nicholson. Ah, people forgive me for that. See, I'm gonna be forgiven for that. You will not be forgiven when you say if they ask you what your favorite anime is, you say, well, my favorite anime.
Naruto runner.
Yeah, Naruto Shippuden. Like, if you say that, they're like, oh, you basic.
Really? Basic anime?
You basic anime. You're a basic anime person. Like, you're super basic. Or Dragon Ball Z. If you say that, they're gonna be like, you're super basic. Because you're gonna get into some real deep dives into stuff. It's a lot of anime stuff that you can really go off the rails with. It's like, wow, you know.
So we need an anime expert. If anyone out there wants to join Top Shelf Nerds and be an anime expert, we're looking for one because we are not. We are anime fans, but by no means will label ourselves an expert.
And I'm not an expert on anything.
No one is.
No one is. I don't know everything. I think this is just good because it's an avenue for people that have like, oh wow, I thought about that. I'm gaming. And I've never met so many women gamers. Like, it's cool as hell to see a lot of women that are gamers and into this stuff and into collecting and into that stuff, and you're not really getting judged. Like, if you did this like as a kid, remember nerding wasn't popular. Nerding wasn't popular. I had to become 270 pounds before it was okay to be a nerd.
So you're
I had to be bigger than other people to be a nerd.
I felt comfortable when I was a nerd.
Yeah, now I got comfortable. I got effective.
So the projected growth from nerds over the next 2 years is 400% from where we are now.
Really?
So over that idea, and what we're looking at is it's become more popularized.
Yeah.
And the MCU has done that. You know, the Dark Knight series has done that, but also like the Big Bang Theory was a huge show to kind of bring the comic book culture and these comic book characters to life. Even just as, and I think before the MCU started coming into light. So it's becoming more mainstream, and you know, it's okay to, you know, wear a Star Wars shirt outside in public, and sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to wear that because people might make fun of me. It's like, but at the same time, you don't really give a crap what people think about you.
You can't,
right? Like if it's part of, like, if Transformers is a part of who you are, if Batman is a part of who you are, you know, like, that's who you are.
Yeah, that's true.
Unapologetically you, right?
Yeah, unapologetically a nerd. And I think, let me ask you a question, Kyle. What part of nerding, give me an obscure nerd thing. Like, what's an unpopular nerd thing that you think you like in the nerd culture? What's something
that I like?
Yeah, so give you my example. Remember the Badger from Image Comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Badger.
Like the Badger?
Yeah, it wasn't super mainstream as far as comics go. If you know it, the Wildcats were pretty popular too. The Wildcats were pretty popular, but I like the Badger. Give me something. What you got?
So what's my probably unpopular thing?
Yeah, that you like that a lot of people, you say, well, you like that.
Ooh, that's a good question, man. That's a really good question to put me on the spot. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty mainstream, but overall, like, I will say this: Harry Potter's pretty mainstream, right? So, and it's gotten really big. I grew up reading Harry Potter books, so I love Harry Potter. And I'm not gonna rank things right now. We might do that later, but I have my kind of top pieces. But for me, I think it's I don't know, man. It's hard to put a thumb on it because, like, in Harry Potter, I really love Mad-Eye Moody. He's a different kind of character. He's not mainstream. He's an Auror. He's kind of cool. Like, he's been through a lot of stuff. The only first introduction we get of him is in Goblet of Fire, and I think in the books and the movies. But what I have noticed, I will say this, in more of the male culture, Harry Potter's not as popular. And so for me, sometimes when I share Harry Potter knowledge and wisdom and like how I love the whole lore of Harry Potter, which we can talk about on the whole episode of how Harry Potter mirrors Lord of the Rings, but it's for a different topic. But I would say in general, like some of my characters that I like that are different would be Mad Eye Moody in Harry Potter.
Okay.
I do love. I love me a good clone, but see some of the clones I like Commander Rex and Cody, are pretty popular. I don't know, man. Like, there's not a lot of Darth Revan. So Darth Revan,
Okay.
So he's my favorite, one of my top 2 Star Wars characters. He's evil,
Mm-hmm.
but he also kind of has this journey towards being back to good. But he's found this balance between light and dark. He's only exists in the video games. Okay, never been mentioned anywhere else. And a lot of people don't like dark side characters.
Yeah.
You know, they get kind of engulfed in this whole idea like you have to be a Jedi or that's it.
Jedi or bust.
So there's no balance between like light side and dark side. You can have this balance between you know, helping people kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
So that I would say Darth Revan, not everybody does share. People like him, but they probably don't like him as much as I do.
I can do that. That's a good one. I generally like a lot of stuff. Because I'm so my roots in comics go to so many different spaces because I was around so many different comic book heads. I was like, man, a lot of the Image stuff gets a underrated rap. A lot of the Image stuff.
Dark Horse.
Yeah, Dark Horse comics are bad.
So Dark Horse had
Not
just
bad.
for those out there, Dark Horse has some of the best Star Wars comics ever written. The Dark Empire series is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dark Horse has some really great comics, and Image Comics has great comics.
Yeah.
Obviously Spawn, which
Yeah.
I'm a huge Spawn fan, but like when you grew up, let's say you grew up with comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
You grew up with comics. Did you have friends when you grew up around you that enjoyed the comics as much as you?
Yeah, man. One of my buddies, I still reach out to him every once in a while from Kid Jack Smith. He had the most comics I've ever seen anybody have. We used to go to his house.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Because you've seen a lot.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. And he's had the most, he had a file cabinets of comics. We used to read them all. I remember he got me into comics. He got me reading a lot of the, I think one of my favorite comic book series, I might be slept on, was the new Fantastic Four. That was actually pretty cool. Like with Spider-Man,
Yep.
Ghost Rider, Wolverine. Was it Wolverine? I think it was.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
You can put it in the comments if you want to correct us. It's
Yeah,
fine.
correct me if I'm wrong. And that was one of my old. I saw that. I had it years ago. I can't even find that book anymore. It's in one of my cases. But that was a pretty damn good comic book series. I think always the Dark Phoenix. I remember whenever Marvel and DC collabed on comics, the Dark Phoenix collab with the X-Men collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty damn bad. Good, cool.
You ever read Saga?
Saga?
It's a comic series. It's kind of like Firefly kind of series, but it has elves and different things in it too.
No, I haven't.
It's really cool. I think it'd make an awesome TV series, but it's one of those kind of. I don't think Saga's under the radar. It's pretty big, but at the same time, it's one of those ones you want to shop and unless you know.
It's not mainstream. It's not
mainstream.
it's not going in there and saying, well, we got this huge section of Thor and a Captain America. It's just some different. I think you got to really, some of the cool stuff you got to really know.
Right.
You got to really know. It's a lot of different artists too. You got any favorite artists?
Tom McFarlane's my favorite, hands down. And it's even though he's, and Kirby's obviously, Jack Kirby's, incredible, but for me, I would buy a book just because the cover was by Tom McFarlane. And still to this day, I'll watch some of his stuff. Obviously, I think I'm a big Deadpool guy. And Deadpool's illustrator hasn't, in the beginning wasn't the best. He's had some great illustrations, but
couldn't draw feet.
Couldn't draw feet. But I would say this: the Circle Chase series for me.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have, the Circle Chase series on the shelf over there. But those covers are cool. Like they're old school. They have good typography, really good composition.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you can't draw feet, you don't notice them as much because the characters are small in the imprint of the overall covers. But I think for me, anytime I see Todd McFarlane's art, it just. And I don't know how much he draws nowadays, but at the same time, you see the Spider-Man 300 cover.
Yep.
Right? The Batman. There's so many books that I have bought because of Todd McFarlane. That's my favorite artist, hands down.
Yeah, I think that I got to second that. I really don't have another guy that I could say has made me like comics more than Todd McFarlane.
Yep.
Just in general, the covers, just in general, how his art composition works on the cover art and throughout books. Just the books are just really well done. He's always done it well.
And the detail.
And the detail. I think he just pushed a lot of avenues that a lot of people were afraid to do. Like, he was pushing a lot of avenues that a lot of...
He's one of the largest collectors in the world, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's one of the largest baseball collectors in the world, too.
I didn't know that.
He has a massive baseball collection. He bought Mark McGuire's ball, the home run ball.
Really?
He bought Sammy Sosa's ball. He's really big into some baseball, which I didn't know either. And I'm like, you know what? Cool. I like baseball. He likes baseball. We played baseball for a long time. So maybe that's why time of But I think what I love about him is he brings in so much detail, but it's not overpowering.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much detail in his art, but it's not an overpowering amount of detail. Where it's like, okay, look, I could, like, some artists, I can look at comic book covers, I'm like, there's just too much detail in there. Like, even, but what I will say is in the old Silver Age comics, like, your Cap 100s and, like, your old Silver Age Caps and Thors and Fantastic Four and Doctor Strange and all those people, and even Black Panther old books and Iron Man books, that art style is just, like, the way Kirby drew things, the way he did, action and poses, and even the coloring of those books. When you see a mint condition or like a 9.0 Silver Age book, the way it was printed, like some of that art, that's why it's my second tier, because anything I see Todd, I want to buy. It's just something. But like, yeah, Kirby's amazing too.
Yeah, I think Kirby is solid. What
about who's your favorite DC artist? Because as an artist, we're a little more critical sometimes.
We are. I gotta put a pin in that because there's so many.
We can always come back to a later episode.
We gotta come back to that one. There's so much. I gotta do a deep dive. It's like several guys, so I don't even want to say one without saying.
We'll think about that later. But for now, I think we've probably been going on for about 40 minutes. So anyway, but this is Key, Kyle, Top Shelf Nerds. We're here to build a community of everyone just like you and us.
Yep.
Talk through all these great things and do all these amazing things with you and us together, and build something and have conversations about personal life with Nerdom, and have Nerdom move forward and show how awesome nerds are. So until next time.